That was short and sweet.
Always is.
Well, that's what she said. Welcome to the Super Fun Awesome Happy Time Pedal Show.
Hey, welcome.
I'm Gabor.
My name is Alex.
And what do we have today, Alex?
Yeah, abSYNTHe.
By ftelettronica. Hello, Valerio, all the way in Italy. Thank you so much for sending that out.
Hello, hello.
Okay, so this is where people are going to whinge that it's going to be like 10 minutes in before there's any sounds. There's 20 odd knobs. You know, give me a break, people. Okay, I'll put somewhere below when the sounds start.
Yeah.
So basically, the abSYNTHe, it does lots of stuff. Synthy stuff, then also not so synthy stuff.
Yeah, it does some modulation type things as well. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
So should we
Do a quick overview of the control sections.
All right, well, give us a clean tone, just so we know. So this is what it sounds into the Seritone OTS Mini.
We did have some reverb on via the Electro-Harmonics box of reverberation.
Holy Grail.
That's the one.
Just for now, let's just turn it off just where.
Cool.
Okay, lots of knobs. Let me reset a little bit here. Just so we can sort of, kind of, start to maybe have a look as to what this thing does. Sort of. All right, if I remember it all, hopefully. Okay, so you have basically, okay, let me turn that off. I've got to turn all that stuff off. And that's the master volume. So basically you have 3 to 4 sections.
Yep.
Ish.
Cool.
And then in those 2 sections, you have 2 sections within the sections.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense so far? Okay, so basically you've got the bottom part, right? So you've got, and they're very, it's hard to read in here with the light, but basically you've got this knob which is called clean, which is pretty much your input volume.
Yep.
You've got pulse, sub-octave. So all these are, those 3 happen before anything else happens. So it says it above, this is the pre-VCF and VCA mix section. So this is basically as the signal goes in, it goes through that.
Okay.
Then it goes to other places. Then you have these 2, which is your post-VCF and VCA. So VCF is the voltage-controlled filter, and the VCA is the voltage-controlled amplifier, which are those 2 sections up the top. So this is before all that, this is after all that. This is your dry level, so you can blend in a dry signal after everything, and your master volume. And yeah, so you've got clean, pulse, and sub-octave, so you can blend in a sub-octave. Pulse is basically the synthy sounds, before you even go into any of the other stuff. Then you've got this section, which is your VCA, your voltage-controlled amplifier, which basically is an amplifier, like a volume-based thing, but it's voltage controlled, so you can modulate it, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So modulation meaning something like tremolo, for example. Tremolo is a modulated amplifier. So you've got a signal, and you control the volume of the signal.
Yeah.
Technically, right? And this can do tremolo as well. So that's this section where you have all these different knobs. The red knobs in each of these are a VCO, which is or LFO. The LFOs. So it's a low frequency oscillator, which now that you use the oscillator to modulate
Other stuff.
other stuff.
Right.
It's complicated. This low frequency oscillator goes into audible realms, so you can actually have it if you. You can actually make it audible, so you can hear the wave. This one isn't.
Gotcha.
So this is basically the amplify section. So this is where you can do volume swells. You decide how much attack you have on a node, how much decay you have on a node, that sort of stuff. Up the top, you have the voltage controlled filter. In this case, a low pass filter. So the VCF.
Okay.
Or the VCLPF. I don't know. So it's a filter basically, right? So with that, you And again, the red knobs are an LFO. So with the LFO, you can control, you can make the filter move by itself. The other knobs and the switches control, so you can either set it like a Q filter, like a cocked wire,
Yep.
or you can set it again, so you have an attack and a decay. So you can set it like an envelope filter. So you have a trigger that, which you switch one of the switches between. Right. This is complicated. So you switch between a gate input or a trigger input. The trigger will actually trigger the attack and the release. So you can have like an envelope filter. Whew, lots of talking. Okay. So right now, the way this is set, technically, it shouldn't really make much difference. Like there should just be a normal sound. Sorry, it is not a normal sound because this is all the way. Okay, so now it should technically be. Sorry, that should be that way. So it's just a straight sound, right?
Cool.
So you've got the volume going in, you've got the volume going into the VCA, and you've got the volume going into the VCF.
Okay.
But nothing is happening yet. Now with the VCF now, you've got the resonance, which is what I was doing before. So with that, you can just set it like a filter. You can sweep frequencies.
Okay.
And you can set it to a certain frequency, almost like a cocked wire.
Sure.
So you find a frequency, you can just set it to that.
Nice.
So that's one thing you can do. The other thing you can do is you can use the LFO. God, I'm not a synth guy, I don't know these stuff.
Too many letters.
Too many letters. You can set the LFO to control the filter. Gotcha. So you can set it.
Does it control the frequency?
Well, you can set it to control different things. You have the two sections of it. So you can set it. That's kind of like the depth, and that's kind of like the speed. So what we can do is, if you go through it. So at the moment, it's kind of like just like it just goes through it. Phasey kind of thing.
Yeah,
so you can get it, you can speed it up quite a fair bit, right? It's even almost to a point of almost being like a vibrato.
Yeah, sure.
It's sort of like a filtery vibrato. It's like a harmonic tremolo vibrato. Harmonic vibrato. But it's sort of, you know what I mean? It does that. So now, that's one thing you can do. Then the other thing you can do is you can turn it off, right? And now we're set to a gated input. Now the gated input, it just means it's just as soon as you play something, it's on. If you don't play something, it's off.
Right.
But you can set it to a trigger input. That a trigger input changes things. So now I can actually use the attack and decay knob, right? Actually, I'm not totally sure exactly how the switches work, but let's just say both down works really well.
Okay.
So you turn the LFO speed down,
yeah, and
now with these, you can actually turn it into like an auto wire type thing. So it's like an envelope filter. So as you strum, it opens.
Sure.
When you stop playing or the note decays, it just goes away. Right? Gotcha. So it's not with the LFO you set it to a certain time and it just moves at a certain speed. Gotcha. With that, it actually reacts to your playing. Now you can also combine the two.
So that on the trigger setting.
That's on the trigger setting,
so
yes.
What you're playing actually triggers it, does what it says on the box.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it triggers the attack and it triggers the decay.
I get it now. Cool.
Or it triggers the attack, and then as soon as the attack is done, the decay starts.
Sure.
Right?
Sweet.
And with those two knobs, it's almost like it's the Q and the like where it sort of sits, and the sensitivity as well. It's sort of between those two. You kind of work it out. And the resonance is sort of the overall resonance of the filter.
Sure. Should we play some sounds?
Yeah, sure. that lower, it sort of starts at a lower note, and it's almost a bit harder to get the filter to open. So now you can combine the two. So you can now say, okay, I would like a little bit of the envelope thing, but I would also like to have a kind of
like a
permanent wave that sort of does things. So you can have both of them going.
one of those, please.
I know. So you can, if you turn that up now, you can have both. So you get both. You get the envelope attack, but then you also get the,
cool.
you know, and you can speed that up. You can make that faster. You can make it slower. You can make it deeper.
That's neat.
See, and then you flick that switch, and then it changes. And things, I haven't quite worked. The thing is, there is no manual for this yet. There may be an Italian manual, but he hasn't translated one yet.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of just making it up as I'm going along, but I think that's roughly what it is. Okay, so that's the filter section, right?
Cool.
So now if we turn the resonance all the way down, filter all the way up, and everything down, it should just go back to
guitar.
Right?
Cool.
Now you've got the VCA, right? The voltage controlled amplifier. Works same sort of principles, right?
Yeah.
You've got the low frequency oscillator, which you can, like I said, it goes into audible. The whole point of a low frequency, quite often the point in synthesizers, I think the point of a low frequency oscillator is something you can't actually hear a lot of times because it's below audible frequencies.
Right.
You just use it to modulate something else. But then quite often you can use low frequency oscillators as an extra oscillator as well. So you can do this thing where you just, so for example, you find a drone, like you play a note. I mean, technically, if you wanted to, you could do that. You just use it as a drone.
Sure.
Then the next thing you can do is you can actually use this as a tremolo.
Oh.
So now by turning up the, so that's the kind of like the depth or level or depth, I guess, of the tremolo, and that's the speed. So by turning that up a bit now, it turns into tremolo.
Quite pretty.
Quite pretty.
Yeah.
And then by turning this down a bit, you kind of make it go to, because I think that's sort of like almost a starting point, so it goes to nothing. Before it never goes to like zero volume.
Yeah, okay. How fast does it go?
Very fast. It's just like almost like a ring modulator kind of thing now. So you have that little drone note there, so you can kind of tune it and find where to, you know, what key. Well, that's basically that, right? So you can do that now. You can also do that, same as with the other one. If you flick both switches down, and I'm sure it's not just when you flick both switches down, but it just works for this. You can make it kind of do it as in your it's an envelope, so
Right.
it's kind of like a swell effect. So now same thing like with this. So you set the attack and you set the decay. So you got to let it ring because it swells the volume in. And then you can set it so you can have a long attack and you can have a short decay, so it gives you like really staccato kind of notes. Sort of. You hear it more once you get the synthy stuff going, but I mean it's just that's what you can sort of do with it, right?
Cool.
And then you can again combine the two, so you can say, I want to have a tremolo and that kind of swell.
Oh yeah. That's interesting because when the ramp, the volume ramp stops, that's when the tremolo comes in.
Yeah. You can do some really. It's a wild and wonderful thing, right? And now, if we turn all this stuff off again,
Yeah.
now we get to the actual synthy bits. Okay, so again, we've got no filter, no nothing. All we so far had, just a clean, like a straight line input.
Mm-hmm.
Now what we can do is we can add the pulse, which is the synthy part. So it's like almost like a fuzz bit crusher kind of thing.
Yeah.
So by taking out the clean signal, and you can add afterwards, you can add dry signal into it. So you can add dry signal on top of it, right?
Wow, cool.
Then you also have next, you have the sub-octave, which you can just have on its own as well. And then you can add the dry signal after it.
Very sensitive to what you play.
Yeah.
Like you can't do any like nice legato-y things because it just goes.
No, it's a whole different thing. It's someone tried to call me. Okay, and now you can combine all those things.
Yay!
So you can say, for example, I want synthy sounds.
Yeah.
Right. Let's get rid of the dry signal. And I would like to have a bit of an envelope kind of thing happening with that. So I would like it to be like a quacky sort of envelope-y kind of thing. Or you go,
Fun.
You know what? I don't want quacky. I want volume swell. So let's do this one, and let's bring that one up and that one down a bit, and then you can have like a slower attack. You can turn a decay down, so as soon as it hits it, it kind of cuts the note.
Oh yeah. Where's
Like-
the attack?
That's the attack.
Slow it down a bit more. Yeah, cool. So that's the decay.
That's a decay.
So I have to make it really short. Yeah, neat. That's
Yeah.
cool.
You just got to play according to it. If it's set slow, if you hit the notes as it's, it doesn't work. You have to
Yeah.
kind of work with it.
It kind of dictates what you play, doesn't it?
Absolutely dictates what you play.
That's cool.
So now let's add a little bit of, for example, a little bit of that quack to it. Let's add some. So you have now a slower attack and you have an envelope. And it tracks fairly good. Like with all that stuff, the lower you go on a guitar, the kind of harder it is, the tracking.
Yeah.
So now let's say we also would like, on top of that, we also would like just a pulsating filter on top of it.
As you do.
As you do.
Excellent.
And now we want a little bit of tremolo on top of that.
Yeah, we do.
Why not? Yeah, let's get rid of the original signal, the dry signal in.
There's two modulations going.
Going on that are kind of... Okay, well, let's turn that one off.
Ah.
Let's turn that one off for
We'll
now.
see if we can get them like
In sync.
or even like
Totally out of sync.
double the speed maybe.
Okay, well, let's start with that. It's cool.
Save of that.
So, I mean, and I'm sure there's other things, but that's sort of the way I kind of think it works.
Cool.
I hope it works. I'm sorry, Valeria, if that's not quite right. But so basically you have an envelope filter.
Mm-hmm.
You have a fixed modulation speed filter, which you can do with that, or you can have a combination of the two. You can have a tremolo. You can have, again, with a fixed speed, but then you can have almost like a envelope control tremolo type thing, and an attack decay kind of swell kind of thing. You have like a fuzzy low bit rate, bit crusher, sub-octave kind of thing that you can add to the whole thing.
And then stick them all in a
And
bucket.
stick it all together.
Shake it up. Do you want to play?
Sure. So this is the clean sound. Not that it really matters.
We'll have a
Do some fiddlies.
It's getting to computer game land.
It is. It is. If I remember,
Kind of.
how does that go? Ooh,
I've no idea. What if we try that with some bass?
sounds like a plan. We'll be right back. And we're back.
Yo.
So we've got a bass now. Just going straight into
The desk.
this stuff.
All those stuff.
Fancy things.
Cool.
All run by hamsters in the other room. Okay, so let's try it. Let's just go. Let's start. Let's start just from the start.
Should we just go get some
Start.
square wavy synth sub-octave stuff?
Hang on, let's just turn everything
Yeah.
down again. Let's start. I should have
that.
done that before I did everything else, but let's just do it. Let's turn all this down. Good stuff. No? Okay, so this should now just sound like a bass. Oh yeah,
That.
that was fad. Okay, keep going. Let's keep going. You've got a longer attack, so you got to play slower.
Oh, okay.
That's low.
Oh,
That's very low.
makes my Wii feel funny.
Oh wow. Well, there you go.
In a bad way.
In a well, not in a good way.
Ooh.
Keep going
I
on.
like the modulation you had before. That was cool. Oh, it's clipping.
Is it clipping? Oh, yeah, I'll turn it down a bit. It's wild. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Keep playing it for a bit.
Like swirling in.
Yeah.
Sub bass.
It's wild.
Whew.
And I'm sure...
I feel like I need to lie down and eat a sandwich.
Well, maybe that's what we should do next. There is probably more to it as well, but this is sort of what I've worked out so far. And there's tons. I mean, there's lots. So you've got a... Did I say it before already? So you've got like a envelope filter, an auto filter, I suppose, where it sort of it sets a tempo, tremolo, swells / envelope controlled tremolo-ish kind of thing, synthy sound, bit crusher, ring modulator type thing, sub-octave, and stuff. So that's that.
All in one handy location.
Yes. All with, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18 knobs.
4 switches.
4 switches. And that.
Wow. Yes. So
Should also mention it runs at 18 volts. However,
yes.
It did work at 9 volts in my place too. Now, whether it makes it sound different I don't know. I didn't notice because I didn't do it one after the other. We just plugged in 18 volt now. But it does work at 9 volt. So
cool.
With the higher milliampage thing, it does work. So check it out. Big thank you to Valerio.
Thanks, man.
He makes some. I gotta say, I don't remember how I first came across it, but it was on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I stumbled across his page, and I just love the way they look. They're such cool looking pedals.
It's kind of that balance between just looking retro and 80s because of that's trendy, and also kind of looking futuristic at the same time.
Yeah.
And fresh and modern.
And so I saw the pictures of all the pedals looked really, really cool.
Yeah.
I messaged him, really nice guy. He sent us that, and also, which there's a demo coming of that as well, the Zeroth Law, which looks really cool too.
Yeah.
And it has buttons.
That's neat.
So and I believe this is based on DIY guitar synth that you can build out there. It's not BYOC, it's some other brand like that.
Okay.
But not BYOC. I forgot what it was, but it's based on another guitar synth, but his sort of spin, like the Zeroth Law is based on the robot's Death Body robot, but again, different versions in it and his own spin on it. Cool. Tons of pedals. His own demos are actually really good too, but make sure to watch ours of this and the other one. And yeah, big thank you to Valerio. If you want to find out more about this, there'll be links. I'll put links below. And what else is there?
There'll be links to Instagram and our Facebook page, which is you can find the more information there, pictures of what we've been up to and what's about to come, as well as podcasts, which is on iTunes, Podbean, SoundCloud, and Stitcher.
Yes,
Yeah,
and possibly other places too. I'll put a link below for all that as well.
Yeah.
Make sure to check out the ftelettronica Instagram page. It's really cool, and the YouTube channel as well. And we'll be probably talking about this very pedal and all the pedals we demoed today in our next podcast, which is probably, I don't know, a couple of weeks back or something. It's been released, but it's always the audio goes quicker than everything else. So big thank you once again, Valerio. Check out the other ftelettronica stuff. Thank you so much for watching. I think that's enough talking.
I think so. We'll let you go.
See you next time.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.